not pronounced, so you should know Adam's last name, please.
This opponent on the left playing a very proactive Adam Tukel Finegood, playing a very proactive Esper Stoneblade list. 3 copies of Baleful Strix, 4 copies of True Name Nemesis in his main deck, alongside 2 Snapcaster Mages. So again, very proactive build. He has a Jitte, a Batterskull, and a Sword of Fire and Ice as his targets. 2 counter spells, 2 Vindicate, 3 Force of Will, 3 Thoughtseize, 4 Swords of Plowshare, 4 Brainstorm, and only 2 Jace. So, like I said, a much more aggressive board control build of this deck.
And in case if you were wondering if Kenan does still have the squee, yeah,
of course.
He does. It's not going anywhere.
So for those of you unfamiliar, we've been talking about this John Debs list a lot. You may want to go take a quick refresher course in the Indianapolis Legacy Open coverage. He was our first place finisher. Go wrap your head around this deck. It's a lands deck that also has an Entomb engine. So it's kind of a hybridized build of 2 fringe legacy decks with an additional Dark Depths, Thespian Sage package rolled in.
Yep.
So, and Punishing Fire for good measure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plus Grove.
But only one.
Right.
Only 1 Punishing Fire. You think of Punishing Fire when there's Grove of the Verdant Wolves, I'm just going to play 4 Punishing Fires. Incorrect. Kenan only plays 1 by choice. It's not like he doesn't know he can play 4. He only does play 1. You can also read his report of him winning the tournament a couple weeks back, filling in for the Leaving a Legacy column. A really, really nice primer on the deck, how to sideboard against everybody, why he does what he does. As he's going to Wasteland to start the show here. So we are underway here in round 4 of 9. John Depps versus Esper Stoneblade, Kennen Haas, Indianapolis champion, looking to go maybe back-to-back as Finegood does play a Polluted Delta and pass the turn back.
Adam, apparently with a very land-heavy hand from what I can gather, appears to have True Name Nemesis. And this is the type of hand which is very susceptible to getting hit by cards like Liliana the Veil and Smallpox.
Yep. Source of Plowshares, True Name Nemesis, and a whole bunch of lands it looks like is in Adam's hand. Plays another copy of Polluted Delta and passes the turn back to Kenan. Kenan will take a draw. True Mox Diamond for the turn, so we'll see what he's going to be up to, if he's going to try to resolve Liliana, if he has one in his hand, or what he's going to attempt to do this go around.
And Adam has the Tom Martell approved Esper basic land base of 2, no, I'm saying 2 islands, 1 plains, 1 swamp.
Okay.
So he has some durability against Wasteland. Kenan can't actually just Wasteland lock him unless Adam is a little too aggressive with using his fetch lands and getting non-basics.
I thought we might see a little Lingering Souls action.
No Lingering Souls. Although it would be in place here. His deck is very, proactive in playing to the board, but, he already has True Name Nemesis at 3 mana alongside 2 copies of Vindicate, so.
Kenan just playing a Grove of the Burnwillows and passing the turn back. Adam going to play a Scrub land, going to sacrifice both copies of Polluted Deltas, so probably going to see him search out some basics here.
Yeah. Definitely, even if he's not familiar with Kenan's deck specifically, his opening here of Grove and a Verdant Catacomb and a Wasteland has all the indicators of being a Life from the Loam deck thus far.
Kenan going to sacrifice his Verdant Catacombs and responsible to Polluted Deltas going to the graveyard, trying to play around Stifle, which we have access to the deck list, so we know that's not there, but good mechanics. And he's going to search out a Bayou. Now those Polluted Delta activations will resolve, so Adam's at 18, Kenan's at 19.
Needs to go get some islands here if he's anticipating casting his True Name Nemesis, which I assume is what he's planning on doing here.
That is what it would feel like. You see him search up Basic Island number 1 and Basic Island number 2. And so those are going to come into play.
And Adam has not drawn particularly well after keeping a land-heavy opening hand.
Yeah, no manipulation, no Brainstorm, Ponder, discard, any of that stuff. So, again, it's kind of this interesting situation where, if Adam is someone who follows the Open Series circuit, reads articles online, he's probably familiar with Kenan and his deck, but if not, he could be really caught by surprise here and off guard.
Yeah, it looks like his hand is a sword, a plow, and a land. Or mana, rather.
So there's True Name Nemesis, a card that Kenan Haas's deck does not care very much about.
Yeah, it's a clock. It's a reasonable thing to put equipment on, but Kenan with a lot of edicts in his deck.
Kenan going to take a draw. Does draw a Crop Rotation. 3 of those this go around. We saw him play 2 in his main deck in Indianapolis and 1 in his sideboard. He's cut the 1 from the sideboard. And he does have, and he's just added that simply to his main deck in place of a Faithless Looting. There's a Wasteland going to go after the Scrub Land. So he's trying to attack the mana base here a little bit.
Yep.
It looks like he's got a Mox Diamond that he may want to use here. Looks like he's trying to play pretty heavily around some sort of counter spell at this point.
I mean, remember, Kenan has a lot of tutoring in his deck between Crop Rotation and Entomb, so every decision tree is magnified as he has access to a lot of different cards at various points.
Right now, he does, I believe, double Crop Rotation at this point. Does play Mox Diamond, discarding a Caracas, as that's not really going to play much of a role in this particular matchup. Let's see what he does want to do this turn, if he does have anything sweet to resolve.
I mean, he can try to pin him on mana here by Crop Rotating for Tabernacle, but he can't quite Wasteland lock him, so it doesn't seem like the best path to pursue.
I'm inclined to agree. Let's see what he does find and come up with on this turn. So he's going to take a look at the graveyard here. He's going to cast a Crop Rotation right now. So let's see who's going to go search out. He's going to go get a copy of Dark Depths, okay? He wants to get that right now. And he's going to sacrifice this and probably go get a copy of Thespian Sage.
Thespian Sage, for those of you who are not aware of this new wrinkle to the combo, Thespian Sage can copy a Dark Depths. Since the Thespian Sage has 0 counters on it when it copies the Dark Depths, you can immediately convert it into a Merit Lage.
And he's doing this right now to play around appropriate counter magic. Trinity Nemesis, the draw here from Adam.
And I think the plan here is he'll do nothing if Adam plays white mana, and if he doesn't, he will go make a Merit Lage.
Yep. Here's an attack here for 3. Haas is going to go down to 16.
I mean, he's not under that much pressure, so he can use, potentially Wastelands to cut Adam off of white and wait for a spot where he can simply or I guess.
Well, he can't make the token right now.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter because Thespian Sage 2 mana and tap it. Yeah. So he can't make the token right now because Dark Depths, of course, does not tap for mana unless there's an Orborg in play. So now this is going to be an Entomb.
Yeah, and I wonder if he's trying to go establish Wasteland now.
Yep.
To try to cut him off of white. The second True Name Nemesis definitely changes the clock.
That it does. So it looks like we're going to try to get the Loam Engine into play. And the ability to loam back a Wasteland and kill the white source, assuming that he does Dredge here. And that's exactly what he's going to do. So he's going to Dredge. He's going to turn over a Smallpox, a Verdant Catacombs, and a Bloodstained Mire. Not a ton of relevant cards there. It's more important than anything than his access to Wasteland right now. And while he's underneath a pretty decent clock, he doesn't have to freak out.
Right.
Yep, so I'm going to go Loman. Sword of Fire Knights could actually play a huge role in this game, however. See what ends up happening here. I'm going to return a couple lands, Wasteland among them. Yeah, so there is Wasteland. Take care of your white source. And just pass the turn back, so. Finegood going to draw a card here. Looks like another copy of Tundra.
He's got to be happy with that.
Yeah. He can bluff all day long, basically.
And this is a spot, unlike lands list that we see, that it's difficult for Kenan at certain points because he doesn't have access to something like Exploration or Mana Bonds. If he could deploy all of his lands, then he would be in. It would be much easier for him here.
Finegood's going to deploy Sword. I like this play a lot here because now what this does is this will be a lethal attack next turn. 3, 6, 7, 8 from Swords +2/+2, 9, 10 because of the ability to, deal the 2 damage. to Kennen's face.
Yeah, he is showing exact lethal right now.
And so I like the game plan that Kennen put together of, you know, cutting out your white sources. I'm not underneath the biggest clock, and if you do have a swords, it'll actually be, like, it'll be fine against me, but not unbeatable. But it looks like it's gotten blown up here, and it looks like Kennen may have drawn a copy of Liliana the Veil, which is not so bad.
Yeah, I mean, it puts him in a spot now. He does have a, I know he has an herb board in his hand as well, so we can start generating some mana here. If he can find running edicts here, he's in a really good position.
Yep.
Then he can kind of win at his leisure, but the problem is that he needs to find them back to back. But as you said, he cannot currently go for a Dark Depths kill.
So there is Urborg. Mana's tapped. Now there's Liliana. This is going to resolve. It's going to tick down. Hey, make a sacrifice. Pass the turn back here. So Tukel Finegood's going to take a draw. Creeping Tar Pit.
Tar Pit's not a bad draw here
Yeah,
either.
it's not bad. A lot of Haas's, you know, resources are just being kind of taxed right now. He wants to be able to keep Liliana, but he needs to keep Wasteland locking, but he needs to draw a card.
Right.
You know, he's being taxed from a lot of different directions right now.
Yeah, he doesn't have anything that allows him to cheat, basically. He's lacking exploration or similar effect. You can imagine if, you know, with a couple more life points to play with, Ken would have a lot of time to assemble a kill, but as things stands, it's likely he's just going to be a little bit short.
So an equip of the sword is going to take place here. Attack here for 5. We'll see where the sword trigger is going to go. It's actually a real decision if you want to take care of the Liliana or if you want to just go upstairs, put the opponent down to 3 and then playing a Creeping Tar Pit.
Yeah. I struggle to see why you would care that much about plussing Liliana and the fact that the Tar Pit by itself is lethal next turn.
Yeah. Oh, he's going to take down the Planeswalker and get a draw. That might be advantageous there for Kennen. We'll see. Of course, Tar Pit's going to join the party now.
Well, now, something like Smallpox or another Liliana is a monster draw.
Smallpox would be absolutely huge here.
It appears that it was a Mox Diamond.
That one is not huge.
No. Can try to see if he has some way to get out of this True Name Nemesis.
Protection from Dark Depths is what that card has, among other things.
Even if Kennen's deck has a ton of good cards against the card True Name Nemesis, it's still going to be good in this game.
Yeah. Just didn't really cobble together the answers fast enough.
I mean, he has a Maze of Ith in his hand, too.
Yeah. And that's just not going to do it. Yeah, he's just got a bevy of ways to deal with creatures, but True Name Nemesis just gets the job done as it is Akin to do. And Adam Tukel Finegood is going to win game number 1 here over Kenan Haas. True Name Nemesis, oddly enough, getting the job done, but if we've seen anything from Kennen's deck, he has a lot of answers in his sideboard as well. And his sideboard, this go-around this weekend, now last weekend, excuse me, 2 weekends ago in Indianapolis, he had 2 copies of Innocent Blood, but he's moved away from that. He's got an Ancient Grudge, a Punishing Fire, Phyrexian and Jester for his Show and Tell matchup, a Ray of Revelation, 2 copies of Pithing Needle, a Coffin Purge, a Maze of Ith, 4 copies of Thoughtseize, where he did not have those prior. Same can be said about 2 copies of Abrupt Decay to go along with the Singleton Tabernacle, a Pendril Veil. So before, we would just see him immediately go towards those 2 copies of Innocent Blood, and he'd have Smallpox, Liliana, and Innocent Blood to take care of creatures in matchups like this, where oftentimes the opponent only has 1 creature, but he has less options this go around. So I'll be interested to see what he does bring in here. Could bring in the discard, could bring in Abrupt Decay, who knows?
Reasonable for him to bring in a Grudge, too.
Yep.
You know, so he's got a lot of tutor targets and a lot of ways to find cards. So there's a lot of flexibility in the sideboard. Wouldn't surprise me if he felt that he had a positive enough Devlin matchup or True Name Nemesis matchup to remove the Innocent Bloods, but certainly I bet he wishes he had him right now. On the other side, we see not a lot really going on in Adam's sideboard for the matchup, with the exception of 3 copies of Rest in Peace. Now, Rest in Peace is a card that, when you think about decks like Kennen, I mean, can't get much better. He's so graveyard-oriented in a number of ways. He's a light from the lone deck. He has Entomb for bullets, including Nether Spirit and Squee. I mean, how much more susceptible can you really get against the card?
Yes.
That said, we watched Kennen beat it on camera. He said he beat it multiple times over the course of the day, so it's not game over. And Kennen also can bring in a couple copies of Abrupt Decay if he feels like trying to fight over it.
Yep.
Of course, it doesn't, work if his graveyard's flush at the time, but if Adam runs out an early one, then Kennen might be able to just Abrupt Decay to move on, or generate enough of an advantage early on in the game where even getting hit by Rest in Peace doesn't matter very much.
Yeah, I think that's part of the reason that he does have Abrupt Decay this go around, where we saw in the previous turn he didn't have any copies of Abrupt Decay. He just had one Grave Revelation that he could Entomb form with Rest in Peace's trigger on the stack, flashback the Ray, kill the Rest in Peace, and yes, your graveyard would go away because the trigger would resolve, but you'd actually be okay. This go around, he does have Abrupt Decay as a way to take care of it as well. So more answers to Rest in Peace, which I think is a pretty good idea, because Rest in Peace is the only graveyard card that is, both widely played and he does care about.
Right.
People have moved away from Relic Progenitus, Tormod Script, things of that nature. And also those one-shotters oftentimes really just aren't that good against you. It's the permanent effects like Leyline of the Void and Rest in Peace. And of course, Rest in Peace seeing much more play than the Black Leyline at this point.
Right. Adam also has copies of Meddling Mage in his sideboard, which I traditionally like against Loam decks because many of them lean really heavily on Loam. The fact that Kennen has access to a bunch of different removal spells, including Punishing Fire, makes Meddling Mage a little bit worse here, but it wouldn't surprise me if he went to that as well, because, for example, he has 3 copies of Baleful Strix. Kennen's not really in the market to be attacking very much, so I can't imagine those remain in, unless he worries he's short on either things to pitch to Force of Will or targets for equipment.
Yeah, I can't imagine Baleful Strix being in his deck after sideboard, but we'll see how things do go.
Actually, one of the cards I would be concerned about, if I was Kennen, that gets commonly played is Jace the Mind Sculptor. He doesn't really have very good ways to pressure it once it's in play. He has another Spirit. He can try to tax it with Punishing Fire, but unless he gets Loam going, his deck actually feels pretty susceptible to getting Fate Seal locked fairly early in the game.
Sure. He does have some unique ways of shuffling his deck to get out of the Fate Seal lock with Fetch Lands and Crop Rotation and Entomb, but there can definitely be situations that arise, especially if you don't have your Punishing Fire, where Jace the Mind Sculptor can just get the job done all by itself. But then again, best Planeswalker of all time.
Yeah.
Of course, it can beat anything and anyone.
It's a good one.
So as both players are shuffling up here, Cedric Phillips, Patrick Sullivan, StarCityGames.com Open Series here in Columbus, Ohio. We've already crowned our Standard Open champion, and we're working our way towards a legacy one. Kenan Haas, he won 2 weeks ago when we were in Indianapolis. You can definitely check out the coverage archive, take a look at the Indianapolis coverage page, track how he was able to get the job done with Jun Depps. He's made some changes this go around, and we'll see if he can, win again.
Off to a great start so far, of course, 3-0, but down a game against Adam and his very proactive build of Esper Stoneblade.
To be fair, I think this is a deck that Kennen would want to play against.
Oh, for sure. I think that the matchups he's trying to avoid the most have to be things like Storm and possibly Sneak and Show as well, though he has some game there. Just really fast combo decks. His deck's a little bit on the ponderous side. He's trying to play a board control game, and decks that ignore that altogether or that are especially fast, I think are likely to be problematic.
Kicking Tar Pit going to bite away here from Haas after playing a Wooded Foothills. Pass the turn back. Jace is the draw here for Finegood. Going to play just a basic land in Island. Pass the turn back. Haas is going to draw a Smallpox for the turn. Not a bad one.
No. These Esper Stoneblade decks have a finite number of resources to work with, and they can only get hit by cards like Smallpox so many times.
Dark Depth's going to be coming down on turn number 2 here.
Not a great sign. Maybe Kennen doesn't have other to make mana.
Yeah. You can't crop rotate it away for a land that does make mana, so that's a step in the right direction. As there is Dark Depths. Card Thompson has won a lot of matches with, so much so that he wanted to become a 2020.
You can see Jerry down there hanging out just below the ice.
He just wanted to see what was going on down there. No big deal.
So Adam is attempting to brainstorm here at the end in Kennen's turn. I assume Kenan will take this as a window to crop rotate that Dark Depths away for a land that makes mana if that's what he's in the market to do.
I believe that is a good idea. He's going to search with that Wooded Foothills, go down to 19, get a Bayou out of his deck. And once crop rotation does resolve, assuming that it does, we'll see what he wants to search for. Let's see, Finegood's going to take a look at his hand. Crop rotation's going to resolve. So he has to use a card to get a better land out of his deck, but if that's what it takes.
Also, keep in mind he has Loam in hand, so if he's able to get to next turn with his mana intact, he can start really getting the engine going. I mean, he has Wasteland, a Fetch Land, and a Dark Depths in his graveyard already, so the Loams are going to be pretty juicy right away.
Wouldn't be surprised maybe see him search out a Thespian Stage or an Urborg at this point. Might just get a Bayou, though.
Yeah. He also has Punishing Fire in hand, too, so there's an argument for getting Grove, but I think he wants a second black source of mana to be able to make sure he can cast Smallpox next turn.
Yep. And there is Urborg.
I really like getting Urborg here, especially with a Tabernacle in his hand.
That's something to sacrifice away to the Smallpox so he can keep Urborg in and Bayou out there.
Right. Well, more importantly, that now his Dark Depths and his Tabernacle make mana.
Sure. Certainly important. Forcible among the cards drawn here for Finegood. See what two cards he wants to put back. Looks like a Swords and a Snapcaster Mage are going to go away. Haas will pass it back. Finegood will draw the Swords, make sure that he's safe around Dark Depths. That is a Flooded Strand. Finegood's going to go to 19, tie the game up. We'll see what land he wants to search out. Wouldn't be surprised if it was a basic, as you did mention that Tom Martell stamp of approval on the mana base.
It's the basics you need to cast Jace and Vindicate.
Yep.
So, or Lingering Souls as appropriate. So this is going to be another battle for Kenan to get his shop set up in time. And again, his list plays no mana bond / exploration type effects, so he has to play one land a turn. If Adam's able to outpace him, then he'll be in the driver's seat. But if he ever, there's a turn where he fails to develop, miss a land drop or add something threatening to the board, those are the kind of turns that Kenan needs to actually take over the game.
Baleful Strix.
He cannot cast that off.
Urborg says hello.
Oh.
Someone's never played very much Dredge.
Whoa.
Huh? I've tapped many a fetch land for black
Forgot
mana.
that bad boy was symmetrical.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Legacy.
Yes. Oh, no, I know that interaction from playing Dredge against Dark Depths way back in the day, where Dark Depths had many an Urborg in their deck. As this is an attempt at a Liliana, I would imagine this will get countered.
Yeah. Although I think Kenan would actually be plussing here, as he's happy for Adam to be paying mana to keep his Baleful Strix alive.
Yep. Now, will he pass the Tabernacle test? That is the mighty question.
We've seen the Tabernacle hit rate has not been great thus far. The fact that Adam is at least pausing is a good sign.
Yes, this is step one. But some people don't like this aspect of Tabernacle, but I love it.
Well, I don't think it's great that this happens, but it does add a certain charm to the coverage.
It
that's
does.
For sure.
It really, really does. Here's a brainstorm. Can you pass the Tabernacle test? The answer right now for Adam is yes. Brainstorm going to draw a Tundra, another copy of Baleful Strix, and a Swords. Two cards going back. Brainstorm going to resolve. Now, Adam does not have a fetch land here. So a little bit of a brainstorm lock taking place as Baleful Strix going to come across. Going to put Haas down to 18.
And that was the kind of turn that Haas really needs to be able to get Loam going. One turn where Adam doesn't really do anything of note to the board. And now Kenan can really start getting Loam.
Drew an Abrupt Decay for the turn, too.
Up and online.
Yeah, pretty good draw. All right, so it's time to start loaming.
The fact that Adam was aware of the fact that he could cast the Strix off of the Urborg makes me feel he's the type of player where it's unlikely that he's going to forget the Tabernacle, but you never know.
We'll see how it plays out. That's for sure. Wasteland going to take down the Tundra. Kenan going to keep restricting the mana. A little float here from Adam. And Haas has
Kinda-
a Mox Diamond.
It's got a Mox. Mox is really critical once he has Loam going. It's basically a fake exploration.
Yeah. Discards Wooded Foothills. Still has the Dark Depths in the grip. And now he has access to be able to cast Abrupt Decay if he needs to. That's Finegood. He's going to untap his permanents. He's going to let the Baleful Strix go. He'll take a draw. He draws the Swords, stuck on 2 lands, and this is where Smallpox gets very dangerous. As this is a Stoneforge Mystic. And that one is likely to resolve.
And if Adam misses a land drop this turn, that's the sort of situation where Kennen's going to be really inclined to go for Smallpox.
That's all systems go at that point.
Miss a land drop, 1 creature in play, doesn't get any juicier than this.
Yeah. So we'll see what equipment Adam decides to search up. It's going to be a Batterskull. But yeah, I think he's even more inclined to do it too because the fact that he does have Abrupt Decay in his hand, so if the Smallpox does get countered by Force of Will, 1, that's something you're probably very happy with because you're using 2 cards to take care of 1. So the card advantage, the side goes in favor of Haas. But then you have the option to Abrupt Decay it afterwards, so Batterskull doesn't come into play. You just got to be, you got to be thrilled.
Yeah, he's just trying to run Adam out of ways to.
Okay, well, Punishing Fire is certainly fine too.
That's a freebie here, so.
Yeah, and Punishing Fire is Punishing Fire is actually great here because now he can just start dredging Loam, and just get that engine further online. Or or he has the option, of course, to take a draw step if he would like to.
Yeah, he may want to try to save Smallpox for a spot where Adam has resolved a True Name Nemesis.
2, 3 Dredge Loam is the choice. Faithless Looting, it looks like, was the last card there.
Yeah.
And now he is going to cast Life in the Loam. A couple cards coming back to the grip. Among them, Grove of the Burnwills, which can return that Punishing Fire. We're starting to have some fun, boys and girls.
The pieces are starting to interlock.
We called this the sleeper hold a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
He's got it cinched in.
He's got it cinched in.
A Thoughtseize, which can be cast.
Yeah, again, that Urborg.
Here's a Baleful Strix, looking to cantrip. We're going to return this, and now Baleful Strix is good to go. That'll draw Tukel for good, a new card. There's a Flooded Strand. Maybe now we see that Smallpox?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that assumes that Adam doesn't Thoughtseize this turn.
You can't Thoughtseize off the fetch land.
I mean, I still think he's going to want to crack and go get a basic because if he taps the Flooded Strand, then that could get hit by Wasteland.
That's true.
And doing nothing instead, maybe he's worried about getting comboed out on?
I don't know, we'll see. We see Haas took a draw step here. There's a Dark Depths. 10 counters there. Maybe time to go Poxing? Nope, just says pass. Patience. In no rush. Bye-bye, Baleful Strix.
I suspect that Adam was not paying for that Strix anyway.
No, I don't think he was either. I think that's one of the last cards that he needs right now is that 1/1. Here is a Thoughtseize. Because it's pretty clear to me he knows the interactions that are going on here. There's the grip. So there's a Punishing Fire, there's the Pox, there's the Abrupt Decay along with a Badlands, a Caracas, and a copy of Wasteland. And it looks like Smallpox is probably going to be the choice. It's a pretty loud declaration right there, too, that he does not have a copy of Rest in Peace in his hand.
Yes.
Which, if you're Kenan, you got to be absolutely thrilled about since you don't have to worry about that right now.
But Kennen's still playing against so many cards in hand. That's the struggle right now is he's got to find some way to start locking Adam out. Because Adam's very conscious about getting Wasteland locked here. He's just fetching basics, so you're going to probably have to find a different path to victory.
What we might see here, is a little manual style with the Dark Depths.
Sure, you can start going down that road.
Yeah. Because, he could just fire away a couple copies of Punishing Fire at the head, or we could just see him go manual with Dark Depths. Yep, we're going manual. Down to 8. Slow justice is no justice. There's Wasteland, pass the turn back. You see, he's just taking draw steps right now.
Right. Well, there's not much for him to loam to,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean, it's just, I think it's interesting because it's so easy just to say, yeah, dredge loam, and, you know, maybe I'll hit something sweet and just be able to do that, or, you know, he's got a Faithless Looting in the graveyard, maybe I'll flashback that. Like, excuse me, it's an Ancient Grudge that's in the graveyard right now, but he could dredge into a Faithless Looting and maybe, you know, flashback that. And, you know, there's a lot of things he could dredge into, but he's just opting not to, which I actually like quite a bit.
Right. It'd be one thing if he had something like Rashid Port or some land with some serious upside to go find,
Yeah.
but he doesn't have that sort of thing right now.
This is a bad land. Passing the turn back. Slowly threatening a 2020, which means that Adam has to just keep up mana. He just drew a True Name Nemesis, and he can't afford to really do anything because, you know, he's got to have that fear of, okay, he could just crop rotate into, you know, a copy of Thespian Stage to make a 2020.
Right. It definitely forces Adam to sit on his hands here a little bit.
Now, he might just get moving here because he did draw True Name, and it looks like he might search up a basic island and say, hey, I got to do something here. And so that's what he does search up, is a basic island.
But this is brutal, as I believe Kenan has drawn his Smallpox in the intervening turns.
Oof. Looks like Adam may have a Force of Will over there, though.
Yeah.
See how this turn goes. He is going to establish the 3-1 Merfolk. He says, you. Well, we're going to keep going manual.
No reason not to.
Down to 4 counters. Haas, he's going to dredge now. So 1, 2, 3. Punishing Fire among those cards. There's a Thespian Stage.
A lot of juice in that one.
Topher Hilson believes that this is more of the sharpshooter, as Kenan Haas is the excellence of execution with his deck. And you know what, Topher? I am inclined to agree
That's
with
nice.
you. Yes.
I like the reference.
Karak is going to come into play. See, Haas is organizing his mana under 20 minutes on the clock. It's time for a Smallpox. See if this resolves, or are we going to see a little Force of Will? Wouldn't be surprised to see Force of Will right now.
Yeah, I mean, that Jace isn't very valuable if he loses another land, so might as well.
Yep, that's what's going to happen. Force of Will is going to counter that Smallpox, which if you're Kenan, you're probably still pretty happy with the exchange.
Yeah. Just again, trying to wear him down. Kenan with a lot of life to play with, too.
Does have that loam in his hand. He's just going to pass the turn back. Still going manual with that Dark Depths. Going to pay the 1, take a draw. Looks like it was a Marsh Flats.
Marsh Flats is actually really important that it's that and not a Flooded Strand, as it allows him to get the swamp in the deck.
Yep. But to be fair, I mean, Swamp I don't think is great right now just because Urborg's in play. Like, I guess
it's just an issue of getting basic
yeah,
lands.
just the fact that it's a basic land is all that matters. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's going to search out the swamp immediately.
His resources are getting taxed in so many different ways that he just needs to get lands that aren't going to get wastelanded away.
I might see Vindicate get cast this turn. Three mana? Is it Vindicate time? If so, what's the target going to be?
I mean, the only logical target is depth, as any other land simply gets returned by loam.
Mm-hmm. So?
Maybe he wants to go after Urborg to cut off mana, but this is sort of a... Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Stone Rain impersonation right now.
Yeah.
Fortunately for Adam, no crop rotation. So he's going to return Punishing Fire via Grove. And now Haas is going to untap. Take a draw. Got a life from the loam, I believe.
Loam, yeah.
Now, the fun interaction that I've noticed in this matchup, just from playing a little bit online, is the fact that he can make a... Even though Swords is going to mess up the Dark Depths thing, you know, the fact that you gain 20 life is actually just buys you enough time to just rebuild it and rebuild it again, because True Nemesis is only attacking you for 3. And basically, it forces him to have sword over and over and over again.
Yeah, and like you said, every iteration is 20 more life, which is that's more time than it takes you turns to reassemble.
Yeah, it's practically giving you 6 turns. The depths are going to come back into play. So 10 counters back on the icy snowland as Finegood is going to untap. He'll take a draw. Does pay the 1, of course, for the Tabernacle with that swamp since he doesn't need any black mana thanks to the Orborg being in play. Attack for 3 is going to put Haas down to 12. Going to play an Underground Sea. Pass the turn back. You see, he only does have 1 source of white mana, however, so he can't cast multiple swords in a turn or anything like that. Not that he needs to, but it's something to be cognizant of.
Yep.
Might be time to keep going manual.
Yeah, attritioning out all these plows is, talk about a sleeper hold.
Hey, it's going to take some time. You see the clock there. We're working our way towards 15 minutes, so, you know, a draw is not ideal in this situation as Wasteland's going to take down the land. And manual here. Going to go down to 8 counters. Haas saying, can I continue? The answer is yes. Take a draw, will Kenan, opting not to dredge loam at this point. As again, as you mentioned, not a lot that he can dredge loam into.
Mm-hmm.
There's the stage. So threatening the combo right now. And by that I mean threatening to gain 20 life right now.
Well, that's a combo in this spot. That's close enough.
Yeah. So Adam, gonna pay the 1, take a draw. And now Adam really can't afford to use that white mana. Gonna start off with a Brainstorm. He says that's fine. See if Adam draws maybe a Wasteland here. Could really mess some things up.
There are, unfortunately for him, no Wastelands in his list.
The Esper Stoneblade's lists do vary about how many Wastelands they play. Really depends from player to player.
Yeah, a lot of it, to me, is Deathrite Shaman or no.
Yeah.
I think if you're playing Deathrites, I like Wasteland a lot, and if you're not, then I dislike it. You can leverage a mana advantage when you have Deathrite Shaman, but otherwise, it's hard for me to imagine that your lands are less valuable to theirs when you have Jason in your deck, and Wasteland opens you up to other opposing Wastelands and color mana issues and all sorts of other stuff. Hey, Kenan, can we get some Rashad and Ports in this deck, maybe? Could win the game on at this point if you had a Port.
That's true. Tap the land at the end of the second main
Just
phase.
get rid of the white mana and go to town.
So he says, all right, keep my Thespian Sage. It has 0s counters. That's dies. I'm going to make a Jerry Thompson token. 2020 in the house. Am I going to go to 29? I guess Punishing Fire. Go upstairs with that. A little chip away damage.
Plan A, Plan B.
Yep, I get you from every angle, tough guy. Fire away.
Are you able to plow this thing? That's fine. Just damage ratio with Punishing Fires.
Pretty much. Now, it would be really bad if Haas did not pay the 1 for the Avatar token. Oh, no. I cannot.
No.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh, no. Oh, Jerry. Jerry down.
I'm not.
Oh, is it the fact that it's indestructible die? Yeah, we'll have to pause the game here for a moment.
Because it's destroyed. Pretty sure it's just destroyed by a game rule there.
Yeah, I don't know if it says sacrifice it or destroy it. Now, if it doesn't,
yeah, if it says
to be fair, Kennen would know better than us.
Yeah, maybe Tabernacle is. This is just another weird Tabernacle templating thing.
Yeah, we'll bring Tabernacle up on the screen. Make sure that we haven't missed something.
What an oddball card. Yeah, it's the
creature destroyed. Yeah, never mind. Okay, yep. Yeah, of course he knows. Why wouldn't he know? Why would we ever challenge anything when Kennen's playing this deck? Isn't it the Magus of Tabernacle? I think Magus of Tabernacle you sacrifice if you don't pay 1.
Who even knows?
Yeah, we'll bring Magus of the Tabernacle up on the screen to see the difference, because when you think of Tabernacle effects, it's if they don't pay, their creature is sacrificed.
There's a lot of cards. Yeah, it's sacrifice.
Yeah, this one's sacrifice. Tabernacle's destroyed.
They understand the oddity of it. Yeah. That's there's all sorts of cards from Legends that are templated oddly that way. Like the Abyss, for example, says that player sacrifices target creature, so
Oh,
you
sure.
can play the Abyss with untargetable creatures.
Yep.
Which is really not intuitive, given how sacrifice effects generally work.
Yes.
Legends doesn't really meet modern standards for templating.
I'm inclined to agree.
Surprise, surprise.
Now, Haas's life total, he's going to be up to 29, I believe, maybe 26. We'll get that updated for you guys briefly as we were checking to make sure they didn't miss something with the Dark Depths token. But, of course, you didn't miss something. How dare us? I will apologize in person for challenging him.
Yeah. We should have just assumed the mistake was ours and not his.
I also like the fact that he just, like, untapped, he drew, and he's just like, yeah, attack. And we're like, what do you, no, it's dice. He's like, no, it's not.
No, it's destroyed.
So let's see what he's going to do this turn. A little punching fire action. We're going upstairs. And with Haas at 29, you know, what he can do here is he can actually just finish his opponent with punishing fire, barring Rest in Peace, another copy of Swords Drawn. Because he has so much life and so much time to operate with, he can do what we felt he was going to do, which was reassemble the Dark Decks combo and also just fire away with punishing fire upstairs. So slowly chipping away while presenting a 20-20, which Adam is going to have to swords that one, which is going to put Kenan up to, 40-something. And then he can just finish him off with punishing fire, barring a Rest in Peace or something like a surgical extraction.
I wonder how regularly this path comes up of the get
like,
my Merit Lage plowed.
This is like riding a bike. This is easy breezy. Haas going to take a draw here. Being told right now that Todd Anderson also playing a take on this Jund Depths deck, sitting at 3-1 this weekend. He's decided to doctor it up a little bit. See what Kenan wants to do. He's got the combo present, and he's got punishing fires ready to bring back. So
Adam's been again taxed because of this Tabernacle.
Yep. He's got 2 true names out there. And dead. Oh, wait. Oh, no. That's so awesome. This is so good.
Destroyed.
He has protection from him.
Yeah.
And we missed that. Oh, my God. The templating on Tabernacle is so bad. It's so bad.
Like it.
It's like Wrath of
Yeah,
God.
it's still has to. Yeah, it's different than indestructible, right? This is Wrath of God against protection from white creatures type of thing.
I guess that's probably what it is. Yeah,
it's also not clear that the Tabernacle trigger is even Kennen's. It might be Adam's because of the way the Tabernacle's templated.
Wow, is Tabernacle unbelievable.
Yeah.
That is insanity. We're getting confirmation from a judge here, understandably so, but how does True Name Nemesis work with Tabernacle, and do I have to pay?
Yeah, I'm fairly sure that this is just, the same thing as Wrath of God, or the same. It's also not even clear that a pro everything even matters here, because I believe Tabernacle grafts the triggers onto every creature in play.
You know what? I just want Kenan on camera every round for the rest of the day, just so that ridiculous stuff like this happens. I think it's just great. Yep, and so you nailed it.
Okay,
and to be fair, I think Adam is going to lose that game.
Right.
Like, via punishing fire and the fact that Kenan's going to go up to 46 for making another Dark Depths token and stuff like that. So I don't think it's really going to matter, but it's actually pretty good for him to know moving forward.
Right. Additionally, it's unlikely Kenan can win a match in 8 minutes, but Adam can. And so just give up on that game.
Kenan can win in 8 minutes. He's Dark Depths Thespian Sage in his deck.
Against a deck with a bunch of plows, I mean...
hope he draws those plows.
Adam is definitely much more likely to win a fast game than Kenan.
I mean, I don't disagree with you in the abstract. I'm just saying that, if we're going to play a 7-minute game, I think that both players have a pretty good chance at winning the game. I actually think it's harder for Adam to win a quick game than Kenan, because Kenan can just, cast Smallpox and really mess up his development. Maybe Adam has to keep a sketchy hand to try to win really quickly.
Sure, no, that is a draw there, but I think between Stoneforge into equipment into quick Jace lock, I think Adam has a slight edge here.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. A little time added back to the clock here because of the 2 judge calls. So we'll make sure that our clock is up there and it's correct. And we're a little bit above 8 minutes as we are ticking down here. Hope you guys are enjoying this match here between Kenan Haas and Adam Tukel Finegood. Esper Stoneblade Jund Depths. Haas taking people to the sleeper hole.
Yeah, and I think, you know, if Adam didn't bring him in for game 2, then I would certainly be bringing in Meddling Mages in game 3.
Yeah. Yeah,
especially on the play.
I mean, I think Meddling Mage is going to have. I mean, it'll be effective in this matchup, but it's not, you know, the end-all, be-all. You're not going to keep a hand predicated on having Meddling Mage in it, because you're playing against a deck that does have Punishing Fire. It does have access to Smallpox and Liliana Veil. So, you know, how long is the Meddling Mage actually going to live? Who knows? I think it's perfectly acceptable to bring it in, though.
Yeah.
And again, if you're Haas, this is you know, outside of time, this is where you want to be matchup-wise.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
You just have to get the job done in time. You have to be cognizant of that, because you do not want to pick up a draw, especially when you're in a good matchup. Might have to play a little bit quicker this go-around.
Yeah, it's curious, you know. I totally understand the reason that Kennen's deck is constructed the way that it is, but these are the matchups where it's very obvious to me that he's not able to make additional land drops.
Yep.
The only way that it feels like these Delver and Esper decks can win is just getting out in front, and Kenan can't quite contain the board in time.
I think it's the only shot they have.
Right.
You know, they get ahead, they use a timely counterspell, and maybe even a card like Life from the Loam,
right,
which we've seen before, where, you know, it's counterintuitive to counter a card like Life from the Loam, but, you know, if you get ahead of them, that's going to work just fine. You see the opening hand here from Adam. He's got a Stoneforge, missed a couple lands over there. We're under 8 minutes on the clock. Might be time for a little turbo magic at home.
Kenan has a very land-heavy hand here.
Got an Abrupt Decay.
A Tabernacle, a Mox Diamond.
He's going to take a mulligan. I think a good decision. He needs to find a hand with actual action. Entomb something, who knows?
Yeah. And he's, you know, he's pretty conscious of the fact that he can't just go Lone Wasteland against Adam the way his deck is set up.
Especially because it hasn't worked very well in either game. You know, that's the other thing that I've realized is just watching these games where he's been wastelanding him and hasn't really done anything. It started the growth a little bit, but the fact that Adam has 4 basics in his deck, like you said, the Tom Martell stamp of approval with 2 islands, 1 plains, 1 swamp. You know, your plan of wastelanding this type of deck would work a lot of times, but it's not going to work this go around. The 6 card is good enough. We're going to start with the Flooded Strand into a Sensei's Divining Top. Spin that wheel.
And thumbing through his deck, you can see Adam does have Meddling Mages in there.
All right. A little bit of a quicker clock. Here's a Verdant Catacombs. Pass the turn back momentarily.
Break up Loam potentially as well.
Yeah.
Or Punishing Fire as appropriate.
Yep. If you're both players, got to pick up that pace of play.
Yep.
Some quick shuffles. Upkeep, we're going to spin the top. Meddling Mage, Jite. Looks like True Name are the 3 cards. 3 very powerful cards. Which one does he want to draw this turn is the question. Looks like True Name is the choice. And play Flooded Strand. Make sure that you're safe against Wasteland. Pass the turn back. Haas will take a draw step. That is a Wooded Foothills.
I'm surprised that Adam wanted to top there in lieu of simply deploying one of his 2 drops.
I was a little surprised by that too when he has Stoneforge Mystic in the grip. Haas going to sacrifice both of his lands. See what lands he wants to search out with the Wooded Foothills and the Verdant Catacombs. It does, of course, have access to Bayou, Badlands, and Taiga. But does not play a basic.
Yeah, I'm sure he's happy to get into Wasteland matches with people.
Yeah, that's true. You're wastelanding the wrong guy if you're wastelanding Kennen. See if he's going to maybe cast something this go around. Got Maze of Ith in the hand. Is it time for maybe a Smallpox? He's just going to cast alone. Okay, this is a really good start then.
Yep.
Cast those, pass the turn back. Maybe he has to discard, not sure. I think he does. Yeah. Value. Oh, maybe not.
Yeah, he mulligans, so
oh,
he
yeah, okay, yeah, so he's good.
Should be good on
yep.
cards.
Oh, he's just showing that he is Punishing Fire.
Well, that's got a modified play here.
Yeah. Sacrifice Flooded Strand, will add him. Under 5 minutes, tick-tock goes the clock. Would hate to see a draw for these players.
If I had seen Kenan throw that Punishing Fire on the table, I would have a really tough time shuffling away that Meddling Mage in the top 3 that we saw in the Divining Top, but Adam's mind was made up there.
Spin the top here with the plains.
And if there's any card that doesn't favor either player when time is an issue, it is Sensei's Divining Top.
Yeah, these decks are both just so slow and plotting. Here's a Stoneforge Mystic. Trigger, see what it's going to search up. Probably going for Sword, yeah. I think getting Batter Skull so much worse. And all this shuffling that takes place. Gonna play a Scrub land. Pass the turn back. Haas is gonna quickly untap, he'll take a draw. Looks like he draws Caracas for the turn.
Decides not to get his loan back.
Verdant Catacombs. Sacrifice this. See if he's just gonna go get a red source to catch Punishing Fire with. There's Badlands. This is the part where you got to be so sure what you want to do since you have so little time.
Yeah.
You know, does he want to get this? Does he want to go get Taiga? You don't really have a lot of time to kind of make that decision because, you know, you're pretty much in draw territory at this point. So you really just want to make your decisions as fast as you can, but as well as you can. There's Punishing Fire. That's going to take care of Stoneforge. Pass the turn back, spinning top on the end step. Caracas, a Rest in Peace. Yeah, I'd move that one towards the top too.
Yeah, against old Punishing Fire, life from the loam guy over there. Yeah, I wouldn't mind drawing a Rest in Peace this turn. He actually gets a really nice turn here. He can even play a Baleful Strix,
yeah,
which allows him to get an equipment on something the following turn.
It's a combo. Yep, there's Rip.
Equipment and any creature.
That's the combo. Yeah. Yeah. It's Unleashed in Mirrodin. So Haas has no graveyard now. Grove of the Burn Willows, I think, was the draw for the turn, too. And he has an Entomb in his hand. Oh, boy. Don't know if he has a Decay. He's going to need one to get out of this. Or that one lone copy of Ray Revelation.
Assuming that's even in.
Yeah. I have to imagine that it's in his deck. All right, he has the Decay. So he's going to take care of the Rest in Peace. Asking the judge, what zone does this go in? Yep.
There's still the question of if he's going to be able to break up equipment. It appears that he has Mazavith.
Yeah, he does.
But Adam has a Trinity Nemesis in his hand.
Yeah, I was going to say, great against, obviously, the Baleful Strix equipment plan. Very, very poor against the Trinity Nemesis part of this.
Yeah, this is not a long-term solution.
Caracas to draw here for Adam. Yeah, and they're trying to figure out what zone the Abrupt Decay goes into. Yeah, and so be it the graveyard or the exile pile. Not going to play like this. Not going to play a huge role in this game. You see both players are saying, yeah, that's fine, whatever. You know, maze this. I don't take a damage pass. We have a minute on the clock. Let's go.
Right.
There's True Name. Followed up with Baleful.
This is really good for Adam, as now he has a lot of protection against Edict effects.
Yep, he's doing great right now. This is an Entomb. Let's see what Kenan wants to go get. I think a Punishing Fire. So Kenan's going to try to work his way through these Baleful Strix by Punishing Firing them away. And it looks like he'll have to go into draw territory most likely. It's not impossible. It's going to be really, really hard to come all the way back. There is Grove. Pay one and get this back. Let you have a life, which doesn't really matter very much. Time to fire off a Punishing Fire. Take care of one of the Strix. Kick it. Find a good old draw card. Don't know if that draw is going to influence anything. Did you draw another copy of Rest in Peace? Oh, my goodness.
I don't think I suspect that his plan this turn is to just get Sword equipped on Trinity Nemesis. We're now on turn 0. So Adam needs to win basically this. He has 3 turns. He has this, turn 2, and turn 4.
Yep.
Trinity Nemesis with a sword on it is 7, 14. So he can not equip this turn and still have exactly 17 damage. But I think he's just committed to doing this.
All right, True Name, let's get in the red zone. Can't attack with Baleful Strix, of course, because of Mazavith. So this is going to be attack for 5, 6, 7 damage. Haas is going to go down to 10, so that's turn 0.
Yes.
Can't deploy Rest in Peace right now, so just pass the turn back. Haas, take a draw.
He needs to punishing fire the Strix and then have an edict effect, and then we likely get to a draw.
Well, I can see his hand, and he does have a Smallpox. So I think he might be able to put together that combination of cards that you just mentioned. He's got an Urborg too, so almost certainly can put together that combination of cards. You see Haas trying to figure out exactly what he needs to do. He is turn 1 of extra turns.
Kenan just basically fighting for a draw at this point.
Yep.
Can no longer win with Dark Depths, Thespian Sage.
And to be fair, a draw is better than a loss in this situation.
Oh, for sure.
Yep, so fire away, take care of that. And the follow-up play is going to be a Smallpox. Spin the top, will Adam. He does have a blue card, just looking for Force of Will.
Whoa.
Oh, that should not go to the grip. And we saw the card that went,
Yeah.
so we're okay. It's that Tundra.
We can confirm on camera.
Yeah, we saw it up here, which one it was. So that is an easily fixable mistake.
We'll see momentarily if this is actually a more significant penalty as the card entered his hand, or if we can easily correct this via...
and purely accidental, obviously, and this is something that we can easily correct up here in the booth, which is kind of nice, actually.
Yeah.
The fact that since we were kind of overseeing the match, we can easily correct it.
I think it's very clear Adam was not... I think it's very clear, Adam wasn't trying to gain an advantage here, but an enforcement penalty for the cards actually entering your hand has to be pretty significant. So our judge/spotter has walked away from the table and will be having a ruling here momentarily.
So what happens if the Smallpox does resolve, I guess? If the Smallpox resolves, we're probably in draw territory, right?
Right, because, Adam gets the second turn, even if he is able to re-equip Sword onto his True Name Nemesis, we're still... That's only 7 damage. Again, the Smallpox is 1 point, and Adam is short 2, so we need something else going on here.
Yeah, and then, as you mentioned, because he is turn 2, he'll have to actually redeploy his threat on turn 2. Mm-hmm. And then he gets to attack on turn 4, and that's his last attack.
He needs something, even in the world where he did something like Meddling Mage on Punishing Fire and played his True Name Nemesis, he would still need some way to beat the Mazavith. So it's really hard to imagine Adam being able to punch through all of Kennan's defenses right now.
Yeah. So as you do see both players, see exactly what's going on here with the ruling.
Yeah.
You see Adam clearly explaining, okay, this is the card, this is exactly what happened. This is the card that went to my hand on accident, so.
And because in a lot of positions, there is so much room for an advantage to be gained. If DCI's policy is lax on these sorts of things, even in incidents like this, where, clearly no advantage was trying to be gained, Adam just kind of made a quick, nervous mistake. The DCI has pretty strict rules about once the card actually enters your hand, we're now entering a different level of rules enforcement and potential penalties.
Do you think something should be different if they matches on camera, or should just the rules be the same across the board? Like a situation where you and I think everybody at home saw exactly what card it was, which was a Tundra?
I dislike matches being adjudicated differently on camera.
Okay.
Because not everyone has an equal opportunity. The idea that Adam in this world receives one penalty if he's playing somewhere in the tournament hall and receives a different penalty when he's on camera, to me is kind of dodgy territory from an enforcement standpoint.
Okay.
And it puts a lot of pressure on coverage and on the spotter and everything else to be, and it appears that's just going to be a game loss here as the card entered his hand.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get the final ruling on exactly what does happen here. Yeah, and Adam will be receiving a game loss, which is incredibly unfortunate given what was going to happen there. And all I can do is shrug his shoulders and move on. So, hate to see the match end this way, but Kenan Haas is going to win this match. He's going to move on to 4-0. We're going to bring it back.